Okay, good morning. First off, this video is going to be going through the 2022 State 4-H Horse Show patterns. The first one I'm going to be going through is Showmanship because that is the first class that you guys will have done at the state fair. My name is Madison. I am a 4-H, Minnesota 4-H alumni. I showed in AQHA shows, and I am currently a adult PDC rep. I had been a youth rep as well. So in general, if you haven't seen one of these patterns before, or like videos that I've made talking about the patterns before, I like to go through and talk about what is the judge going to look for and things that I personally feel like people will struggle with. Those are kind of what I point out the most. You should ask yourself, where are you going to be? And overall, for everything that you do with your horse, you should be having a plan to set them and yourself up to be successful. You don't want to go into a situation knowing or thinking that it's not going to go well. So, for showmanship, we have grades 6 through 9, 10 plus, and English showmanship. So I will be going through all three of those in that order. If you want to skip around, you can. Although, if you haven't seen the patterns yet, I suggest you go and get them from the office. But they're all very similar. So listening to all of them might be helpful for you, depending on, if you get confused hearing about other things. So, before you go to the warm-up pen, you should make sure you have fly spray, a brush, and a rag to wipe off. So the rag is more so for like wiping off your boots and stuff before you go in, and your horse's nose and like if they sneeze. All your tag and equipment. So for showmanship, you don't have like a saddle and all that, but you still should have your show halter cleaned before you go, as well as your number and whatever else you need. So showmanship is unique in that, unlike the other classes, you have 2 grades going at the same time. It is, unless they've changed things, the only class in which they have 2 grades running for the same class simultaneously. So, it's no longer called the Egg Star, but it's the little indoor arena next to the horse barn. That's where the showmanship always is. So, typically they start with the older grades and then work their way to the younger ones. So they will have grade 13 on one side and grade 12 on the other. And they typically try to keep, when one of them is done, they'll wait for the other one to be done. So they kind of like start at the same time. Again, they could change that depending on how quickly they want to get through things. But typically, one side of the arena is evens and the other side of the arena is odds. So, all of that said, it goes way faster than everyone thinks it does. So you need to first off figure out what side you're going to be on. And then you also need to pay attention to that side and how quickly they're going. And remember, they can be announcing for grade 12, and if you're in grade 10 and they're getting done with grade 12, you should be there. Assuming you're like in the first half of your grade. You should already be close there, or in the middle of getting ready. So I just laid out kind of what they do. So they have you enter on either end. There's like big garage doors. And then there's a little middle like gate thing that you can go out that they typically have everyone exit through. Sometimes they'll have you loop back around and exit where you come in. With this pattern, they could do it either way. I expect they'll have you go and loop back through the exit kind of door, but watch the other people ahead of you, watch other patterns, or ask the person who is telling you, or calling for people. There will be a person on either end calling for numbers for people to come in. And then there's always the bleachers and like seating area. This slide is new from last year. If you haven't noticed yet, I am reusing my PowerPoint slides. Anyway, so warming up for showmanship. This is something that like whenever I ask people, or like they ask me to come and help them, and I'm like, oh, what do you want to work on? And they're like, showmanship. And I'm like, great. And then they grab their horse and they put their show halter on, and then I'm like just kind of chilling and waiting, and they're like, okay, I'm ready. And I'm like, did you warm up before you like wanted to do the pattern or anything? So the day before, which is today when I am recording this, you need to go and practice your pattern. However, you don't just grab your horse out of the stall and rush them through a pattern. You need to warm up. So your warm up should be about 15 minutes. You're going to run through the pattern 3 to 5 times. If you feel comfortable with it at 3, don't keep doing it. Just don't. I hesitate to tell you to do it more than 5 times because that makes me think that it is you, the exhibitor, that is you're not comfortable with the pattern because you don't have it memorized. And so you, without your horse, need to just become more familiar with what you're doing where and run through it without your horse. I know that seems like a very crazy idea, but a lot of times before I would even take my horse out of the stall, I will set up just like a tiny mini version using like water bottles of the pattern and like go through it just walking in like the aisle way. And if you're struggling with something in particular, like let's say your horse is having a bad day and doesn't want to pivot, or your horse doesn't want to back, okay, don't just keep running through the pattern and expecting your horse to pivot better in the pattern. You should go practice, school, whatever you need to do somewhere else, and then do the whole pattern again. So the morning of, note your horse should already be clean and banded, or whatever you do to its mane, it should be ready. So you and your horse, I'm assuming, are clean and already dressed. You're going to go out, warm up for about 10 or 15 minutes, see how your horse is responding today. They could have been great yesterday and now they're not so great today, or vice versa. So see how they are today. I want you to go leave your horse with a friend, with a parent, guardian, not a stranger, but someone that can hold your horse, and then you're going to go and watch other people in the arena, watch them do their pattern. It doesn't even have to be people in the same grade as you, because right now the patterns are all very similar in shape. So all you need to do is look at how they have it laid out. How big is it? How wide is it? And what would be like your halfway point? I'll talk about that in a bit. Then, once you've done that, you're going to go back to your horse, and about 6 or 10 horses prior to your go, so you should, in your program book, go through and look at the numbers of people and pick, like, when I went, I was always number like 600, okay? So I would start warming up when they're calling for the 400s, or like the later 300s in numbers. That's when I would start warming up. So pick wherever that is. That should be another 10 or 20 minutes of warm up. So what does warm up actually include? It includes every single possible leading transition that you can do. I have them listed there. I don't think you want me to read all of them, but do all your transitions and also do them in different shapes. Make circles, make square corners, make straight lines, do curves, like anything to check and make sure that your horse is coming with you and being a partner with you that day. Is your horse backing quietly and straight? That is important. Setting up for inspection. You should be warming up, and your warm-up should include setting up for inspection as well as you crossing over. If you can borrow a person and have them walk around you, that's great. If not, still just practice crossing over and being comfortable doing that morning. And pivoting. You can do it in various amounts and how, what size of a pivot or like how long you're pivoting, but the main thing you need to make sure you're doing is that when you stop your pivot is on a 90, 180, or like every quarter of a circle you are stopping on, because you don't want to teach your horse that it's okay to run past or short of that 90 turn. Okay, grades 6 through 9. You guys have Honestly, I was a little bit surprised by the last pivot, but we're gonna just go through everything all together. So I have the directions there on the left, pattern here on the right. This is probably a lot more than what you had at your county show. From the people that I talked to in the one county fair I got to go and see this year, I will say that it is a lot more. But I do not want you to panic. I'm going to try and spell everything out to be as easy and simple to do as possible. Ta-da! The magical highlighted words and lines on things. So, first and foremost, and this is for every single person, grade, showing, and showmanship, you need to be ready at A. Now, when it says be ready at A, your horse's nose should be even with the cone. Your horse should be set up square. You should be on the correct side of your horse, which I hope you can see my mouse. I'm going to get my little, can I get a laser pointer? Yeah! Okay, so laser pointer. If your horse is here, right, look at the laser. If your horse is here, and the judge is where the judge little symbol is, you're going to be in this corner. So that is the normal leading side. You do not cross over, okay? Okay, so your horse's nose at the cone, they're set up, you're waiting, you're looking at the judge. When they nod to you, don't nod back, just go. The whole nodding thing don't do it. Don't nod back. Just once they acknowledge you, then you go. You're gonna walk halfway. So this is for every single grade. I might tell the others to come back and just listen to this one for most of this stuff because it's going to be the exact same. They have you walk halfway, trot halfway. We're going to ignore this for now. Once you come back around, you trot halfway and walk halfway. So, two halves, assuming they are equal, which they should be because that's how halves work, mean you should probably be at the same place for both of them. And what I mean by the same place is I have this green line and a green star. So I want you to pick, and this green star can be on this side. It doesn't have to be on the one side or the other, but I want you to find something in the arena before you go in for your pattern. So when like earlier during my intro sequence, that was 8 minutes long, I told you to go in and watch other people. So the reason I told you to do that is so you can find where your halfway point is, okay? And this should be something you also practice with your pattern. That halfway point cannot change when you are doing your first line compared to your second line, okay? That should be in the same place. It's something the judges are going to look for, and if you can do a halfway correctly, it adds a lot of points, or like not adds points, but like it is a good thing for you to do. So now that we have gone through that, you're going to trot until your horse's nose is even with the judge. So when you stop, your horse's nose should be even. So when you're warming up, when you're going around warming up, you should be practicing picking something to stop even with from a trot. And you should do that over and over until you get better at it. Okay. So, also notice this blue star. When you're down here, notice they drew this so the line is like on top of the cone. You do not need to be on top of the cone. You can be over a little bit. You should never be so close, or like you should never have your horse so close to the cone that if you would step across, that you would be like on top of the cone. You should be like a horse width or a little bit more off of the cone. Then you're going to stare at something where the blue star is that you're going to go straight towards while you're doing this first line. So you've done that. You've already picked out your halfway point. You walk halfway. You trot halfway. You stop with your horse's nose even with the judge. Then you need to back 8 steps. The pattern says 2 horse lengths. A horse length is in general 4 steps. If your back is not going well, you can get away with doing 6 or 7. but ideally you need to do 8. So you come up, you stop, you back, then you're going to do a half turn, so you are facing where you came from. Okay, take a deep breath. Before you do the rest, you should take a deep breath, get ready, energy in your body, trot off. Okay, so now we're in the second half of the pattern. You're going to trot in a straight line. So wherever you came from, you should be again staring at something down here. I want you to go a little bit past A before you start your turn. And notice, so it says to and around A. So that means that your turn, when you come down here, should not come in like this. Okay, if you, and I'm exaggerating here simply to get the point across, but you do not want to come in here, because if you turn and you turn short on your curve, well, now for you to go in a straight line to your judge, you're all the way out here, and this being on this type of line also messes with what halfway is. So what you should be doing, again, before you even go into the pen, assess and look at where the judge is and see how far off they are from A. If you picture this as a square, and you have 3 cones plus the judge, you should be going around whatever would be in this corner. So, in order to do this, you're going to need to keep your eyes up and look where you're going. If you are looking at the dirt, you are not going to be able to accurately plan your pattern while you're doing it, okay? Please don't look at the dirt. Look where you're going. So you're going to trot around, and then you're, oh look, we're coming up to the halfway point that we talked about before. So you're going to trot. When you come to that, I want you to take a deep breath, tell your horse to just walk, and start walking. No biggie. You're going to walk up. You're going to stop. So you should be at a distance from the judge that if you both put your arms out towards each other, you would barely not be able to touch your fingertips to them. You want to be far enough away that the judge doesn't feel like you're going to run them over, but you also don't want to stop so close or so far away that the judge has to walk, twice as far to get around you. So after that, the judge is going to dismiss you, and then you have a 1.5 turn. So I obviously cannot speak for all of the grades 6 through 9, but most of the people that I have helped in that age group do not normally pivot more than a 360. So if you do not normally practice pivoting more than a 360 with your horse, or in some situations practice ever, you cannot expect your horse to pivot a full 1.5 turn. That doesn't mean that you should give up. By no means should you ever give up while doing a pattern. Also, it's a 1.25, not a 1.5. We're going to ignore that number right there. You're going to do a 1.25 turn. So you are facing towards either the bleachers or the exit wall. With how I presume they're going to set it up. And then you're going to just walk away. So, if you have any questions, you can comment them on the video. Hopefully this helps. I'm going to do my best to look at comments. But overall, biggest thing is keep your lines straight and make sure your halfway point is correct, because I have no way of judging or knowing how any of you, like you and your horses, are with backing and pivoting. Those are things that take a long time to get your horse to do right, so that's not something you're going to fix, today. But the halfway point and stuff, those are things that you can easily control. So make sure your halfway point you have, and your lines are straight, and your curve at the bottom is a half circle and not like a lopsided thing. Okay, grade 6 through 9, good luck, have fun, do your best. Ta-da! Okay, grades 10. So I don't know why you guys got the super cute, like, little footprints walking around the horse and, like, the 4 little, like, oh, it should be square, but, like, your horse should always be set up square for inspection, right? Duh. Yeah, I just have the pattern here. Text for what is there. This is probably a lot more from your county show. Don't worry. If you listen to my spiel for the 6 through 9, you're probably going to hear pretty much the exact same thing again. Directions. 10 plus. Showmanship. You're going to be ready at A. So, I like this pattern shape a lot more than the 6 through 9 because they don't have you on top of the A cone to start. You should not be on top of your A cone. You should be at least like a couple, like 1 or 2 horse width off of the cone. You should be able to move on either side and not feel like you're on top of it. So, I will briefly go, if your horse is here and the judge is here, you're going to be here. Horse here, you here. You are on the normal leading side. You do not cross over when you are waiting for the judges. Okay. So, you're ready at A. Your horse is set up. You are going to have something picked when you come in and line up your horse, that you and your horse are going to be lined with something down here that you're going to stare at, and that is what you are going towards the entire time. Same thing, except for over here, you're going to be looking at the judge or something behind the judge. So, you're going to walk halfway. Granted, the halfway markers that they drew on this pattern are not at the same points. That does not matter. You should have your halfway be at the same point in both situations. Should my green line be here? Should my green line be here? Whatever. It's not even on the pattern. You should pick something on one side or the other of you that is your halfway point. Some people, I'll say, you like counting how many steps they take. That works too. If it's, 12 walk steps and 8 trot steps, more power to you. If you know that, you know that. But I worry about that a little bit because this shouldn't change. But at the same time, between where you need to stop for showmanship and where you need to, or for inspection, and where you need to stop with the judge, your horse with the nose, even at the judge, is a little different. So pick something that you change at. Okay, come up here. I already dropped the ball, but you're going to stop with your horse's nose, even with the judge. So, when you are warming up, you are going to practice stopping with your horse's nose, even with something. And granted, it shouldn't be something right next to you, because that's not helping you prepare for the pattern. But you should stop with your horse's nose, even with things from a trot out in the arena, or wherever you're warming up. So, you've done that. You are then going to perform a 360. So you're just going to stop, pivot. Apparently I didn't have enough coffee. Stop, pivot, full 360. You are then going to back 8 steps, because it says 2 horse lengths. A horse length is 4 steps, so you do 8. You are then going to do a half turn. So you're going to face the way that you came from. Take a deep breath here, okay? Like, just take a deep breath. Then continue with the rest of it, because this is not like a perfect halfway point, but like it's a good place for you to just like take a deep breath. And when you're practicing with your horse too, you can just practice the first half and then practice the second half. Okay? Like if you have a young horse, I would highly recommend doing that. So you've done the first half, you've pivoted, you're facing where you came from, you're going to pick up the trot. So I really like and appreciate how they have drawn the shape of this down here, because number one, it does not have you coming on top of the cone. You should never be on top of a cone ever, no matter what you're doing. Do not run over cones or even make it look like you're going to run over a cone. You're going to go past it straight. like a couple of steps. You're not going to start curving as soon as you get here. You're going to go past it, and then you're going to start your curve. And then you're going to make sure that this is a full curve, because if you turn too short here, oh no, if you are here, your straight line is suddenly no longer straight with where you were before. So make sure you look up. Do not look at the dirt. The dirt will not help you. Look where you're going. Come all the way over. Get nice and straight with the judge, probably about here. Look at the judge, or you should look so you are looking like there is something growing out of your judge's right shoulder, because you want your horse to be in line with the judge, not you. You are showing your horse, not you. Go halfway. You've got your halfway marker. Sweet. You're going to start walking. Take a deep breath here. You're just walking. Go up to your judge. Set up for inspection. Your horse should be square, unless, you're showing like a non-stock type horse, which you'd probably be in the English Showmanship anyway, but your horse should be square. Get them as square as you can in a reasonable amount of time. Typically, I like to count to about 5. And if my horse is not setting up, or if I'm just messing with something a tiny amount, just go with it. Inspection, judge is going to walk around you. They show the judge going this way. They could go either way. I would assume they're going to go the direction in which they have drawn on here, but they don't have to. But they do have to go the same direction for every person in that grade. So if you are a person, or if you are not the first person, you can just watch the person ahead of you and see what way they go around. And they have to go the same way. So, you've done inspection. It went great. You did fantastic. Your horse didn't move. You're going to do a quarter turn. So either facing, more than likely, the bleachers or the the other wall. Quarter turn and just walk away. You should walk straight. It shouldn't be a lazy walk. You should still have your hands up and everything, but you're just walking straight away. So if you have more questions, you can probably just go and watch the 6 through 9, because I spent 12 minutes talking to them. It took a really long time because I was rambling, but go and watch theirs. If you have more questions, you can put them in the comments. I will try and read the comments if I can. Good luck to you. Do the best you can. And don't expect more from your horse here at the show than what you expect from them at home. And have realistic expectations for them as well. English Showmanship! Hooray! Okie dokie. So, here is your guys' pattern with the directions on the left. On the next slide, I have all of my little scribbles and highlights. So we're going to just jump to that one right away. Almost the exact same deal as the other 2 patterns. If anything, you guys have a easier pattern because there's no backing, and you guys don't have a pivot more than a 180. I'm going to just reiterate the main points from the other 2 patterns. If you want more in-depth explanations, probably go and watch the 6 through 9. So, before you go in, you should find a halfway point in your arena, because your halfway point for this first line is the same halfway point that you should have for this second line. So, you're going to start, and thankfully they didn't draw it where you're on top of the cone. You're going to start off it a little bit. So, if your horse is here, and the judge is here, you are going to be here. You're not going to be on the off side. You're going to be on the leading side when you are waiting. You don't cross over when you are waiting for the judge. You're going to start with your horse's nose, even with the cone, set up. When the judge nods to you, don't nod back, just go. The whole nodding back and forth thing, not a thing anymore. Walk halfway to whatever halfway point you have picked prior to you going into the pen. You're then going to trot You're going to stop with your horse's nose, even with the cone, or even with the judge. Judges are now cones. So you're going to stop with your horse's nose, even with the judge. This line should be perfectly straight. You're going to pick something before you get lined up here that you're going to be in line with, and you're going to stare at that. Stop. Perform a 180 turn so you're facing where you came from, and I want you to take a deep breath. Before you go on, take a deep breath. Then you are going to trot right off, go 2A in a straight line. They have these offset simply so you can see them both, but you should be on the same line you came in on. You're going to go around A. I like how they have this drawn where you go like past A a little bit and then you really curve. You don't want to turn and come in here because, oh no, if you make this turn, even if you're short like here, and the judge is over here, your line is now this shape. It's not straight anymore. You should always have your straight lines, unless signified in the pattern that it shouldn't be. It should always be straight with like a wall in your arena. So this is even. Halfway point again, you're going to break down to the walk. You're going to stop for inspection. You should be that if you and the judge both put your arms out, you should barely or not even touch fingertips. So you're not so far away from the judge that they have to like walk forever to get around you for inspection, but you also don't want to stop with your horse on top of the judge. You never want to run over your judge or ring steward. That's not a good thing to do. So you're going to do your inspection after you've set up. You guys with pleasure type horses, you know how to set up. I don't know if certain breeds need like 1 foot back or, So you set up how you need to set up. Do your inspection, quarter system, know how to do that. When you're dismissed, you're going to do a quarter turn, so a 90, and then just walk straight away from the judge. You're still showing until you've exited the pen, but you're going to just walk confidently, proud, away from the judge. Oh, I totally forgot to tell the others. Do not look back when you are walking away. That is not safe. If you are looking behind you, you cannot see what is happening in front of you. So, share this information with those around you because I forgot to tell them. Do not look back. When you are in showmanship, do not look back. So, that is the end of my presentation. If grades 6 through 13 jumped here, don't look back when you are done with your pattern. When it says to just walk to the exit, just go. Don't look back. That is not safe to be looking behind you. Just exit. The judge, it doesn't matter. They've seen your pattern. They will make notes on their cards. They've got 100 other kids to judge. They don't care if you look back. Don't look back. So, good luck to everybody. Have fun. Have realistic expectations for both you and your horse. And everybody be safe. I wish you all the best of luck. And that's all I have for you. I'm hoping to get the trail and horsemanship patterns soon, and then I can record them. But between recording and editing everything, it takes quite a bit of time. So I don't know if I'm going to have those patterns up today, which is Friday, or if they will be up tomorrow, which is Saturday morning. So thank you for watching. If you would like to be notified when I post the other videos, you can subscribe. That's the little red button. Or you can just, hit the like button or comment. If you thought this was helpful, let me know. If you thought this was garbage, also let me know. Constructive criticism is always a good thing. So, thank you, and good night, afternoon, or morning. Bye.